Hello learners, welcome to the fifth session of the October current affair. We have till now covered majority of our current affair from the October month. Now in this session, we'll talk about the remaining current affairs from science and technology, art and culture and the defense. Now again, just to reiterate the facts, if some of the facts you see not present in the October, this last class of October month, they will be because after 5 to 6 months covering the current affairs, we will have separate videos. We can come up with separate videos on all the 5 sessions. For example, indexes which have been left out, or some government schemes that have been left out, or the some of the art and culture, science and tech portion left out because of the interconnection issue, right? So that's why I've left out something and more as we discover, as in some of the that have been left out in our discovery of the facts. We also do the facts from the, we also take the original facts. So if some facts are left out by us also, we'll cover that, but it will be done till the end of the last class of this session. If this course, we'll cover all the facts. Okay, so let's start with this session. First, we'll get about science and technology. So before getting into science and technology, there are few facts. For example, there will be the health. There will be some the name-based things. For example, particular discovery happened, particular new name came, and that is one of the tough parts also. So remember those names, different proteins, different drugs or different diseases. So that becomes a bit relatively tricky. Okay, so let's start. First of all, first fact is release of 2 diagnostic kits developed under the Make in India initiative. So 2 diagnostic kits have been released by ICAR Institute, Indian Veterinary Research Institute, Izzatnagar. So the 2 drugs are, the first is sandwich ilsa, ES ilsa, and other one is for the Japanese encephalitis. So that is blue tongue for detection of antigen. So this kit is basically for the detection of antigen of this virus, blue tongue virus. It is an insect transmitted viral disease of domestic and wild ruminants that include camelid species, and it is widespread among, most importantly, the important fact is it is widespread among these disease. So you can guess from the here also that veterinary institute is there, right? So 2 diagnostic kits are for the disease for the animals. Okay, so second disease is EGM ILSA kit. It is for the swines which have this which one developed this Japanese, no, swines which are the host of this JE. Okay, we'll cover somewhere JE. JE is very, because it causes a lot of diseases in the Bihar, especially in Bihar, and in the Gorakhpur region also. Some of the hotbeds of this disease are. Okay, so this is the PIB report of the same news that the scientists are presenting to the media the 2 drugs that have been released. Okay, next, a virus disease that has killed more than 5 elephants in the Odisha. It has rare disease that killed 5 elephants in Odisha. So it is a type of herpes virus that can cause a highly fatal hemorrhagic disease in the young Asian elephants between the 1 to 12. So young elephants. Okay, so virus spreads from one elephant to the other, but not to the other animal or the human beings. That means from elephant to elephant. That is why in the name itself, name is elephant endoheliotropic herpes. Okay, what I'll suggest you, because this is not a science and tech class, so many of the terms that you are getting, so you should go ahead and read from your contemporary static. If you're not getting one term in this particular slide or particular class, you should go ahead and Google it or read from your static sources, right? Because we have to cover a lot of facts in a very less time. So Zoo said that these 2 elephants have this level of disease, and that is why the killing of the elephants is happening, and that becomes a relevant news because we have Project Elephant, Project Tiger. So whenever something happens to wildlife, it becomes a very pertinent question. Next is international missions. Now it is one of the trickiest portion to remember, because missions, space missions especially, they are from NASA, they are from ISRO, they are from ESA, some of them from collaboration among the agencies. So what I'll suggest you, just make a note. For example, NASA, make heading NASA and remember all the associated missions with respect to NASA. Okay, so first of all, what it is, that is a satellite Ionosphere Connection Explorer to detect the dynamic zones of Earth ionosphere, the NASA ICON mission. Okay. Okay, so it is launched from an aircraft over the Atlantic Ocean near the Florida coast. Okay, so this Icon mission is launched from there. So what will the work purpose? In the name itself, Ionosphere Connection Explorer. So it will study the Earth ionosphere, which includes various layers of uppermost atmosphere where the free electrons flow freely. Now, static in geography, the structure of the layer of the atmosphere, troposphere, then stratosphere, and something. So that is their static read. More importantly, in science and tech, NASA's Icon mission. Okay, so the same thing is there. You can see the aircraft is there. It studies Earth, thermosphere and ionosphere, the connection between the space weather and the weather on our planet, and it has been launched from Florida. Okay, so that's all you need to know, nothing more. Because in science and tech, especially in science and tech, some surfacial knowledge you need. You need a lot of horizontal coverage. Vertical coverage is not too much required. Vertical coverage as in depth of knowing every nitty-gritties of the topics you don't require, especially if it is a foreign thing, as in NASA is not from India, right? So just need to know the horizontal coverage, just have some shallow facts and you're done for at least that for that fact and for prelims, right? Next is plethora 2. So it is a so Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research scientists have pointed out this protein as essential ingredient for primary and lateral root regeneration. So you get to know that why this is a very factual fact and what is the need. Similarly, was a question asked was Denis Owen, right, in this last year prelims. So that any fact that is present in the newspaper can be a potential question. That has to be have some credibility also. So this scientist have pointed out that these are for the primary and the lateral. Primary means from behind and lateral means horizontally. Okay, the root regeneration of the plants. Okay, the same thing. Next is Aflatoxin M1. It contaminates plant and the plant products. So majorly it is a contaminant which contaminates this plant and products, mainly the milk products, and which is obtained from the livestock, obviously. So they are more dominant in the processed milk than the raw milk. India is the world's largest, obviously it's the largest milk producer, and these two drugs are there, two things are there, maltodextrin and this Aflatoxin M1. And why it is in the news? Because recently National Milk Sample Survey, Quality Survey by FSSAI showed the presence of these contaminants in Indian milk. Okay, so just remember the fact this Aflatoxin M1 is not a disease, is not a drug. This is the contaminant in the adulteration happens in the milk by it. Okay, so you can and some researches are done how to detect this adulteration in the milk also. Okay. Next is, it's a good one, Indian Information Fusion Center, Indian Ocean region. So it should have come in international relation also, but more also linked with the science and tech. That is why it is here. So it is single point center linking all the coastal radar chain networks along our coastline, 7,500 kilometer coastline. So basically, we have coastline and we have many coastal radar system. They are giving it the information. So this center will help in the fusion of the information, right? We'll see that also significance. We'll see. So benefit, it tracks and monitors the white shipping. Also, question can be asked on the white shipping. What do you mean by white shipping? The frivolous options can be made that the shipping made in the white ships or something. But white shipping is the commercial shipping, also known as the white shipping. So Indian Fusion Center has already built linkage with around 18 countries. India has started sharing maritime data with the help of IFC. Okay, so picture is not very clear, but seamless exchange. The Information Fusion Center, Gurugram, yes, headquarter is at Gurugram. Any other thing you remember headquartered at Gurugram? We discussed that in the last session or last to last session. That is International Solar Alliance, right? So that will facilitate transfer of the commercial shipping information between the countries in the IOR region. How will it function? At present, data is shared by the virtual means, the telephonic call, fax, emails. Center will in future host officers from the foreign countries for quicker analysis of information and timely inputs. It will also give the training to the maritime information collection and sharing. Okay, so our defense officials say that it will strengthen the maritime security in the region beyond by coherent maritime situation in the future. I've also discussed when I was discussing IORA in the international relation, I guess the third class of October current affairs. So I was discussing why this maritime security from internal security, international perspective become important, because in the foreign policy itself, we will make a strategic change to move from our continentality. The too much focus on continentality means our continental neighbor. We're also thinking of our maritime neighbors as our neighbors, maritime countries, our neighbors. The Indo-Pacific strategy, the Indian version of Indo-Pacific strategy, and also the 26/11 attack that came from the sea route. The maritime security thus becomes very important for India, and also India sees Indian Ocean region as its strategic backyard. Okay, and that is why it becomes a very important topic. DTrack initiative to be shared. DTrack, it is a malware or a virus. It was believed, rumors went, or someone believed that it was used to breach the data of Kudankulam nuclear power plant. The DTrack malware was there in this power plant. Now everyone become fearful because that's a critical information infrastructure, right? So I think you know what is critical information infrastructure. So that infrastructure, if that something happens to that, but for example stock system or banking system, they are critical information infrastructure. Something happens to them, then whole system crumbles, and it debilitates all the other socio-economic political systems. So it was believed that this virus or the malware attacked this Kudankulam nuclear power plant. However, there was a press release that by the Kudankulam itself. You can just 1 second. Yeah, they have press release that some false information is being propagated on the social media platform with respect to the cyber attack on the Kudankulam nuclear power plant. Just to clarify that Kudankulam power plant and the other are standalone and not connected to the outside cyber network. So they have clarified that nothing this sort of happened. Okay, it is not possible, they are saying. Okay, so they are the authority people which are saying so. So just remember that DTrack was in news because of some news were there, some reports were there that it has attacked the Kudankulam power plant. That is why they have to come up with press release negating that. Next is Nikshay, a web-based application of the National Tuberculosis Control Program for monitoring TB cases with better user interface and the data structure. So it is basically Nikshay. Just remember, it's a web-based application. It is not a initiative. It is not a physical thing, right? It is a web-based application. Now, why it becomes important? Because India has taken a very bold step and resolution, I should say, to eliminate TB from India. Now, global targets to eliminate TB is to 2030. Recently, a report from WHO also came. We'll discuss in the next one about the global TB report. But India has made this preponed this target to 2025, and we want to eliminate TB by then. TB Mukt Bharat, that is the slogan by Prime Minister. Okay, that is why these initiatives become important. Nikshay version 2.0. Next is Metro Light. Metro we know, Delhi Metro, Kochi Metro, Jaipur Metro. This is a light version of this metro. We'll discuss that. Delhi could get the first stretch of Metro Light, a cheaper, smaller and slower urban rail transit system compared to the. So basically Metro Light is at the golden mean of these two. First is tram. You must have seen in the West Bengal, slow moving trams are there. And the other thing is metro. So Metro Light are somewhere between these two. So what will happen, how it will, for example, you can see in the image also, it is running on the rail tracks, but it is running, you can see also the public building there. So it will be running on the along, for example, this is the road, the buses and the cars are going on, and there will be a separate track for this Metro Light. So there will be no separate platforms, no separate stations for that. There will be like a bus stand, so it will have stands, but there is no separate building, separate infrastructure for Metro Light. So what is the problem? Because metro is a bit very costly metro, unless until you don't have the traffic like Delhi. The whole metro infrastructure, running the whole metro infrastructure, maintaining that becomes a costly affair. So the government has come up with this Metro Light concept so as to balance the element of the metro and the tram, and also the speed is less because it's running on the these tracks. Okay, and this is very suitable for the tier 2 cities. Especially in the Indian urbanization story, we see only the small cities, very small cities, and then suddenly the metro cities. There is no tier 2, the big tier 2 cities. So that goes to show the continuum in the urbanization. Big cities, then small cities, then very small cities. No, we have very big cities and then small cities. So these things will help to bridge that gap. Okay, just giving you a context. So Metrolite AC run dedicated rail corridors on the surface. Some points are there. So dedicated air corridors on the surface, tracks can be fenced and draw power from the over attraction, shelter platforms, no platform, screen door, AFC grade X-ray baggage, and tickets will be inside the train like a bus, like we get DTC bus inside the train. Train to get priority clearance at the traffic junction also. So at the traffic junction they will get priority clearance. Okay, it will be tough, but as a concept it is good. In the many countries it is being done. So to have the benefits of such rapid, because one of the problems of our whether it be air pollution, whether it be congestion, one is the improving the public transport infrastructure in India. So these concepts, Metrolite, beat Metrolite and other concepts, the bot taxi. Last year Nitya come up with the analysis that what other rapid transport system we can have. So these are important for improving our urban infrastructure. Okay, and also the problems, associated problems like air pollution, congestion. Next, now we think yeah, this one came from the garden culture. I'm really sorry. So next is cut SEQ something. So it is a new method to identify the aggressive tumors. So yeah, so researchers have developed a technique to identify the aggressive heterogeneous tumor that need to be treated more rapidly than the normal cancer growth. So for example, cancer grows exponentially, but some of the cancer can show abnormal and they can grow more quickly. So they are aggressive, right? So this technique has come up to method to identify them, and so that dedicated actions can be taken on it. Okay. So cut-SQ is a versatile method for preparing multiplex DNA sequencing library from the low input samples. Okay. Next is Global Polio Eradication Initiative. Global Polio Eradication Initiative, a public-private partnership led by the national government with 5 partners, the World Health Rotary International, the US Center for the Disease Control and Prevention Organization, the United Nations, UNICEF, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So this initiative is led by these many organizations. Just remember, not only one government, not UNDP, not UNEP. It is a coalition of these public-private partnerships. Goal is to eradicate polio worldwide. So the polio has been one of the success stories of India, that we are able to eliminate the polio with the huge, for example, ethics case study. We write the behavioral change or overcoming the public resistance by persuasion techniques. So in that sense, polio has been one of the successful stories of India. But still, a lot of, don't let the polio escape. A lot of countries are still facing problem, and this problem is also regenerating itself. The virus is also innovating itself. So we need a comprehensive and holistic strategy. That is why these initiatives, this Global Polio Eradication Initiative, this initiative come into being. Okay. Next is penicillin to fight the rheumatic fever. So government is planning on the revival of penicillin in bid to fight against the drug resistant and to tackle the rheumatic heart disease. So basically, what is rheumatic? Rheumatic means when there is a pain in your joints, when the joint pain is there, inflammation is there. So that because of that inflammation, some joint pain develop in your body. Then that fever which creates that is rheumatic fever. So it is endemic in India, remains to be one of the causes of the major cause of the cardiovascular disease. Is discovered in 1928. Okay. Next is rheumatic fever signs and symptoms. The same fever, as you said, the tender joints, painful and tender joints, red swollen joints, because inflammation is the cause of these rheumatic fevers, right? Risk factor, the family history, some strands of strep bacteria, and environmental factor, something. Now telescopes. Now telescope has been one of the problems in the science and tech. At least I felt it. So telescopes There are so many telescopes. We'll cover here. So, for example, you need to prepare notes for just have the compilation of the telescope with you, because these scopes are installed somewhere, but they become to news. For example, this came into news because 20 new moons that have been discovered around Saturn, taking over number to 82, and now Saturn has overtaken Jupiter in terms of the number of moons, and that is why it becomes a significant news. For example, Jupiter had around 79 or something moons, so Saturn has overtaken it. So I was saying that these telescopes are already there. They become in the current affair because some happening, say they discover something, they report something, so they become in current affair. So it is rather important. It is very easy for you to remember this if you convert these things into the static portion. That's what we did in the impetus series also. We converted that current static portion into the static portion, so that current affair becomes a bit easy to decode. Okay, so that name is Subaru telescope in the Hawaii, USA. So new moons of Saturn discovered, diagram showing 20 new discovered moons. Okay. Next is 30-meter telescope. So basically, it is a proposed astronomical observatory, an extremely large telescope, 30 meter of the prime mirror diameter. For example, you can see that 30 meter is the diameter of this. It will have 12 times or 30, it is somewhere say 13 times sharper resolution than the Hubble Space Telescope. So the homework is research about Hubble Space Telescope. What are the just two Wikipedia's first paragraph is more than enough for your information. That's it. You need not more than that. Okay. So total Hubble telescope. So these are the information. And then it is an international project being funded by the scientific organizations of India also. That is important. India also, around 10% of the stake of India is there. Canada, China, India, Japan, USA. So just remember that nothing UN, nothing European Union or something. India is there. Okay. It will be the world's largest ground-based telescope, planned location in Mount Kia on the island of Hawaii in the US state of Hawaii. So in the work technologies in the Pune had developed the common software for this telescope. Okay. Edge computing. So edge computing and comparing it with the cloud computing. We'll compare it with the cloud computing like here. So edge computing enables data to be analyzed, processed and transferred at the edge of the network. For example, I'm doing some work in my laptop and it is getting stored in the cloud. Cloud, not the cloud, the real clouds, but some clouds are there where we just store data. But edge computing saves the data locally. Data is analyzed locally and closer to it is stored in the real time without latency. The basic difference between the edge computing and the cloud computing lies in the where the data processing takes place. Where the data processing takes place. So in the cloud computing is storing and accessing the data at over the internet instead of your computer's hard drive, and in compared to cloud computing, in the edge computing manages the massive amount of data generated by IoT devices by storing and processing the data locally. So local storage of data is there, right? So this is edge computing. So basically whenever you want some authorization of the data, especially after the, as we discussed, right, whether we have learned about this web tax in Italy or whether we have learned about the data localization by RBI, norms by RBI, this becomes a very important part, edge computing. And these initiatives are taken so that the data localization problem is solved and the data sovereignty is maintained. Okay. As we say in this budget itself, Nirmala Sitharaman said that data is the new oil. Next is a disease, Hathi Paw. It is spelled in the Hindi word Hathi Paw, elephant legs. So it is also known as elephantiasis. It is commonly known as. So lymphatic filariasis. Why in the news? Union Minister for Health and Family inaugurated the national symposium on the theme of United to eliminate lymphatic filariasis and signed the call to action to eliminate lymphatic filariasis by 2021. Okay, so it is for that. WHO has launched global program to eliminate lymphatic filariasis in 2000. Okay, the commonly known as some of the details. Elephantiasis globally, it is a neglected tropical disease. So what is neglected tropical disease? Basically, all the research or something happened in the Western countries in the temperate regions, right? So many of the disease that happen in tropics that are not that are not too much relevant for the people in the temperate region, right? So for them, they have no locus standi in putting their money for this disease, tropical disease. That is why these reason in a neglected tropical disease. And that is why it is said that disease is one of the global diseases, is one of the factors where the global cooperation has to come in. So technology transfer, helping people, because the when on the one hand we say that Asia and Africa are the next growth centers of the world, and on the other hand these diseases still go unnoticed and no significant research on these diseases, right? So it's a parasitic disease, most importantly caused by the microscopic thread like filarial worm. Okay, nothing extra to be taken here, just remember that it's a parasitic disease. In mode of transmission, infection occurs when the filarial parasites are transmitted to the human through mosquitoes such as Culex, Anopheles and Aedes. Infection is usually acquired at the childhood. India's case, first disease at the Southeast Asia, first country in the Southeast Asia to adopt a drug regime to prevent this. In 2014, India has adopted twin pillar strategy, prevention through mass drug administration using a combination of two anti-filarial drugs. These two drugs, don't need to remember the name of the drugs, and preventing morbidity management and disability prevention services to those affected by the disease. Okay, so India is the first country to adopt a drug regime for it. What is India's case? What India is doing now? So as we have call for action. So government has launched the accelerated plan for elimination of lymphatic filariasis in 2018. As part of the intensifying effort towards this, they have rolled out a triple drug therapy. Okay, treatment in the phased manner, a triple drug therapy that administers a single dose of 3 anti-filarial drugs. So these 3 drugs will be given in a phase wise manner. Okay, next is Mosaic Expedition. If you think the speed is too much, just comment it, and also comment on the YouTube videos, and also you can pause the video if you want to make some notes, take out some notes, and also if you find any factual error also, it may be there, that's a human effort only. So just mention in the comments so that we can amend that. Okay, we can take a look at that and we can improve on ourselves also. We have still a very long way to go. Mosaic Expedition, so multidisciplinary drifting observatory for the study of Atlantic climate. So that is the full form, right? Interesting. Mosaic, like Mr. Modi has made it, something like that. Very good, very great short forms have come up in the last 5 years, whether Samadhan Doctrine or Rapid for the Taxation, Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. So so many acronyms, right? Strength, international relation. So this will be the first year-round expedition into the Central Arctic, exploring the Arctic, right? So Arctic, from international perspective, international relation perspective, you should know it is a global concern, but not a global common. It is not a global common. It's a global concern, but not a global common. That is why we have an Arctic Council. There's homework, we'll cover that somewhere, but next month I think we'll cover. So Arctic Council is there, then you just need to remember the members, India's observer status, and the other things. So what is the importance? It will obviously impact of climate change on the Arctic, and especially Arctic, right? So Arctic, because these are the virgin places not affected by human population a lot, so the direct impact of the climate change can be seen on this. And also they are the places where from the ice caps are there, right? So it is also important to measure the importance of climate change, because that will affect overall the sea level changes and the story of climate change. Other details: one Indian is in the 300 scientist team. The whole expedition is spearheaded by the Alfred Wegener Institute in the Germany. So this is the expedition. So German research will be doing it. They are heading it, and they will work in the Arctic North Pole. Okay. Gemiini system, again a good system, a good development, important one. Important fact is there. You need to remember this. So to avoid the communication blackout during the disaster, a slew of government departments, research agencies, and private companies have developed a Gemiini, a portable receiver linked to the ISRO satellite. A portable receiver linked to the ISRO satellite. So what is Gemiini? Just if you see here, Gemini is a soap. So Gemini is a soap box size, small size device fitted to the fishing boat. Will have a receiver. Servers will be in the Hyderabad at this institute, INCUIS. It will receive data on the various ocean parameters. It will give various parameters: sea surface current, sea surface temperature, currents, wind speed. It's suited for the numerical models. So they will analysis the data and they will generate data on the they will analysis and their forecast data on the weather, disaster warning, tsunami for tsunami and potential fishing zones also. And the forecast will be transmitted to the Gemini device. Very easy. A device is there, it gets all the data, and then it converts into a command and control system, then it again gets the data. So it forecast is transmitted to the Gemini device through the Gagan. This one second. Gagan is your homework, GPS aided geo augmented navigation satellite and linked to the other satellites, communication satellites. Gemini sends the information to a mobile application downloaded by the fishermen through Bluetooth in all the regional languages, and thus this will be very handful to the India. Okay, so purpose is to warn the fishermen the dangers and show the fish capacity probabilities. So overall, you can say science and technology for the human welfare from every perspective, whether it be disaster management, whether it be the livelihood concerns of the fishermen. Okay. So it works on the Gagan, as we discussed. Gagan, developed by the ISRO satellites and the Airport Authority of India. It is an India-made global positioning system. It relies on the ISRO's GSAT satellites. We discussed that potential fishing zone forecast will be there. Okay, nothing too much is required. This much is enough. Next is IIT Hyderabad, IIT we used to remember, right? So IIT Hyderabad created first Indian brain atlas, that is named IBA 100. Okay, International Institute of Information Technology Hyderabad has built the first ever Indian brain atlas. So first digital effort has been taken by the created by the Montreal Neurological Institutions, first one, and the other brain atlas is made Chinese, Korean and Caucasian. The atlas reveals that don't be offended that but Indian brain is smaller in height and width, volume compared to the Western and the Eastern population. I don't know, but that is the final output of the report analysis. So Indian brain is smaller in size. Indian brain compared with volume compared to the Western and the Eastern population. Okay. So I think we are done with the science and tech portion of our discussion. Few of the facts have been left out. I am telling you right away, but they will be covered. Rest be assured of it. Next, we will see very small sections are there. Art and culture, and also the history portion. Now, first I'll tell you how it to be covered, how it is covered by us, and what you should do, because that's a out and out static portion, but still current because some of the things are in the current news. Now, we have covered something which is in the current affair. Firstly, secondly, I'm saying outright that all the content of the static portion, it is not there. Just the glimpses into the static portion is given, and but the mentioning is done that particular thing is there, it was in the news, it can come. So whatever is in the current news, the probability of coming in the static portion that is in the news, it becomes hot topics, right? That is why we have covered that into the current affair. We have given a portion of this in the current affairs. First thing is Tipu Sultan is in news. In Karnataka, a lot of politics is happening in the name of Tipu Sultan, Tipu Jayanti, and then when the BJP government has come in, then they have decided to not only go away with Tipu Jayanti, and they also going ahead to remove the textbook of the Tipu Sultan, as you can see. October 31, 2019 news. So CM Yudhirappa says that we are not going to allow anything about Tipu in the textbooks. You may agree with it is right or wrong, but that is the fact. And just so what can come in the examination, the things related to Tipu Sultan, whether it be Carnatic wars or his fight, his fight with the Britishers, his French connection. For example, he was a member of the Jacobean Club of Mysore, known as the Tiger of Mysore. He believed that living one day with bravery is more important than living with cowardliness for the rest of your life. Right? He planted a liberty tree in the Srirangpattam. So, as I told you, that just a glimpse into your current static portion. Rest you have to refer on your own contemporary static. Okay. He became the ruler of the kingdom of Mysore after the death of the father Hyder Ali in 1782 during the second Anglo-Mysore war. Next is Muhammad Iqbal is in news. Why is in news? Basically, a UP school had suspended for making students sing Iqbal's Lab Pe Aati Hai Dua song. So he was suspended. Okay. So why is famous for? Everybody knows that he is famous for his तराना हिंदी सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा हम बुलबुलें हैं इसकी ये गुलिस्तान हमारा. Language, he wrote mostly in the Urdu and Persian. His work is Bang-e-Tara, collection of poems. Most importantly, participated in the second and third round table conference. So why in the news we have seen. And with this, I want to introduce into an important thing in your static portion, how you should read one of the things that I wanted to discuss. And I was hoping if we can cover that in the impetus series, no promises. So basically what we read history is in a political history, more or less, as in the history of the Indian struggle, right from the Congress, before the Congress social reform movement, the Congress formation, the different movements, Quit India movement, something. Then we read the other part, the things, the British side of things. For example, British Governor General. Now we started reading that. What happened in the Dalhousie? For example, B.L. Grover is given that format, one of the textbooks, and one of the Tamil Nadu textbook also given in this format. What happened in the Dalhousie region, Warren Hastings, William Bentinck. So that is the other way of getting to know the same thing. For example, political history is going on and the person-wise history is going on. One more way of doing it, the Indian leaders. For Indian leaders means for example, this one, Muhammad Iqbal. So about him, 3 to 4 facts about him. Now these things are not mentioned in your traditional textbook that we read. For example, he was participating in second and third RTC. That fact is not present in the normal books that we read. May be present but in very obscure areas. So, but many of the UPSC in the last 5 to 6 years have been targeting these questions. The individual centric question. They will give a paragraph and they will ask you, identify the individual. So how to go about it? If whatever the names are coming into your while reading the modern history, just make a list of it and try to Google them and try to adjust it 2 to 3 facts, special fact with respect to them, and you are done. You will be able to guess the person when it will come into the examination. Okay. Next is Skandagupta. So Skandagupta is basically why in news. So Mr. Amrita said that. Just one second. Yeah, Mr. Amit Shah in a call to rewrite history made by the Indian Home Minister Amit Shah, Gupta Emperor Vikramaditya may get a relook in the modern history. So we are not going into the political debates whether it should be done or it should not be done. But if Skandagupta is been used by the Home Minister of India, then you should take, for example, many of us neglect the ancient history and medieval history. Like it's too much to read and cost is very high and benefit is so low. But still, if Skandagupta is news, get to your textbooks and read about Skandagupta. So his reign is from this period to this period, succeeded by his father, his Allahabad inscription. Okay, he's famous for his battle against the Huns and defeated Huns, his coinage. So you should do all the things on your own. We have just provided you the glimpse that Skandagupta is in the news. That is our duty as a current affair course. But rest you have to do on your own, obviously. Next is a CCRT YouTube channel is there. And also Digital Bharat, Digital Shiksha and e-portal they have launched. Union Minister of State and Culture and Tourism launched this e-portal. So obviously take the digital pinnacle and promote Indian culture or putting it on the digital map, because that is the new way of reaching up to more and more people, right? So this is the YouTube channel. You can see the link here, CCRT official channel. CCRT official channel, YouTube channel. I've taken the screenshot right from there. Why I'm doing such thing? Just because to make the facts more relatable, right? And for the feedback I have got from the students is also they are able to relate the facts and they are able to remember. The probability of remembering the facts is more if you see the related images with respect to that. Next is the Chennai Connect, as we have read in the international affairs. Chennai Connect, the Mallapuram complex. First of all, you should read about Mallapuram a lot from your static, because that becomes a very hot topic. The Chinese connection we have discussed. Just also read about the Chinese connection. In the art and culture history, you can see here the shore temples built in this time. Narasimha Varman II. One more thing, as I told you about the modern history, for the art and culture also, you can make a separate list for the temples, because these temples are like very tough. For example, and UPSC specifically in the last 5 to 6 years has the chronology of the temples. So if you make a separate list of the temples, instead of reading apart from reading in the traditional way how you read, for example, under the Nagara, these true temples are the examples. So make a list of the temples and add made by the built during which reign and what is the time. That's it. So if the question comes in the arranged chronologically, it will become so easy for you, or to eliminate the other options. Next, descents of Anga, also known as the Arjun's Penis. So it is said to be one of the largest monolithic rock sculpture. Okay. The sculpture narrates the tale from the Indian epics such as Mahabharata. Next is Pancharatha, an architecture ode to Mahabharat's 5 Pandav brother and hits and their wife Draupadi, carved out of a long stone or the monolith. It's a World Heritage Site, right? Amalapuram, we have discussed that. Adivaraha cave temple date back to 7th century, first testimony to the ancient Vishwakarma Sathapatis. So all these things you have to cover from ancient history and the art and culture. Just 1 second. Folk dance. That 2 slides were like, we have seen the science and tech. These 2 slides are also extra. Okay, so the folk dance in the news. So we have read about folk dances. Again, this is your traditional textbook, or in CCRT you can read wherever what is your traditional source for that. So one folk dance is, you can see, very interesting, from the Kerala itself, Theyam. No stage or curtain or other arrangement for the performance belong to the lower caste. So remember that perform belong to the lower caste, and from the costume itself you can take it out. For example, elaborate headgear is there. If some statements like that, then you should mark it. Just remember the images, especially for art and culture. The images are very critical. If you want to remember the art and culture facts, remember 3 images. And I think you do with it, because otherwise how will you cram these list of folk music, list of folk dances, list of folk theatre drama. Next is Bhavna. Bhavna, so it is in Assam, a mythological based theoretical performance. It is carried out by Borgi. These are the lyrical components, the song components with this. So it is related with the Neo Vaishnavite movement started by the Shankara Deva. So few of the associated dance are also associated with it. Some dance are also associated with it. So just remember for now, Bhavna, the drama, the theatre Bhavna. Okay, and also just remember this Neo Vaishnavite movement and the related classical dance, Sankirtana and other things, right? In the UPSC, I guess there's a World Heritage Intangible Site associated with this also, and UPSC is asked question in 2015-16. Next is Khon Mas dance drama. So it is not in India, it is performed in Thailand, but it depicted the glory of Ram. Why news? Because Cultural Department of Uttar Pradesh organized the country's first training and performance program of Khon Ram Leela in collaboration with the Thailand government. Okay, so they are collaborating with the Thailand government to have this cultural exchange. You can see the presence of the Indian mythology in these far-fetched Asian country. Last fact from the art and culture is Guru Ravidas. So he was a mystic poet saint of Bhakti movement during the 15th and 16th century BC. Born in Varanasi to the Untouchable, he was the disciple of the Bhakti saint Ramanand, who has many of the disciples from different and one of the primary disciple was Kabir. So his contemporary of the Kabir, and his disciple, the disciple of Ravidas, was the Mirabai. Just remember that. Okay. And what a static you should read, the Bhakti period. One of the favorite topics of the UPSC is Bhakti period, whether it be pre or whether it be mains. For example, they have specifically asked about the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and what are the different elements he brought into the Bhakti movement, especially in Bengal. Okay, why he is in news? Why we are reading that? Because Guru Ravidas temple has been demolished in Delhi, can be reconstructed. Supreme Court said. So earlier it was demolished by some people. So he belongs to the untouchable category, and that is why a huge Dalit movement was raised up. They say that the discrimination against it is reflected in the destruction of Saint Ravidas temple. Okay, so with this we come to an end of our art and culture thing, and the last point in defense. Defense basically consists of the, as I discussed yesterday also, exercises, missiles, and we'll see other programs also, okay, related to defense. First is exercise Aquarion. Aquarion is between India and the Maldives. You can see here Maldives. 10th edition happened in Pune, Maharashtra, held alternatively in both the countries, 14-day joint exercise. What can you expect? For example, simple question will be again which country. Addition, I don't think it will be important. More importantly, if they become a far-fetched, they can ask you that where it happens or some other details they can ask. But actually, there are so many exercises, so I think you should keep yourself to the countries only. If you can remember it, then it's fine. But our duty is to provide you a bit more information, right? So again, nomadic elephant here. So that is India, Mongolia. You should also make some tricks to remember. For example, this particular exercise related to Mongolia. For example, nomadic. Nomadic means in the Central Asia region, right? And then elephant. Now, nomadic, we revert over the Central Asian region. But just remember, it is not only nomadic, it is elephant also. So from elephant, you can remember that elephant is above the dragon, and dragon is China, and so it is Mongolia. And the capital of Mongolia is Ulaanbaatar. It happened in the Himachal Pradesh, again held alternatively in both the countries. So you need to make some stories so that you can easily cram the facts. Next is exercise Shakti. Shakti is India, France, Rajasthan mein it is held. Once in 2 years it is conducted alternatively in India and France. It started in 2011 in both the countries, France. Okay, here you can see English channel. We'll see that English channel because Konkan exercise. So Konkan exercise, as we said, between the India and the UK Navy. So it is conducted in the English channel. Okay. So it is conducted in the English channel. Where is the English channel? This is the English channel between the this United Kingdom and the France. Why this location again becomes important? Because in the context of the Brexit, too much in news. Finally, they have decided to go ahead with the Brexit because the Boris Johnson was elected with the vast majority in the United Kingdom. So he is a pro-Brexit leader. Okay. Next is exercise Eastern Bridge. So it is between Indian Air Force and the Royal Air Force of the Oman. What other things, as I was telling you, you can also remember that exercise is between the Air Force or between the Navy or other. Just remember that. So what is the capital of Oman? Oman's capital is Muscat, and which is the famous thing map we do in Oman, that is Duckham Port. We got some access to it. Okay, so just remember that this location can become very important. Indian Ocean region, the same logic I've given you. The maritime portion becomes very important, especially the location mapping portion. Okay. Next is Dharma Guardian. So it is a joint exercise between India and Japan annual training event, which has been conducted in India since 2018. Very recently, we started conducting it. Dharma Guardian. Just remember that older civilization, India and Japan. So Dharma will be maintained by the old civilization. With China, we have hand-in-hand exercise, right? So Dharma, just remember with China, Japan, it is conducted in the Mizoram. In Mizoram, it is being conducted October 19, 2019. Okay. Counterinsurgency and the Jungle Warfare School. Next is RB001. So it is the first Rafale that was actually handed over by the received by India from the France, and our then defense minister. Now he is also defense minister, went on and he drawn some swastika or something. So it became a bit controversial, that daily news debates, right? Just remember that RB001 is an first Rafale aircraft by India from the France. Okay, and we have the agreement, controversial last election, too much Rafale news was there. Next is Sarris Aircraft. For example, we know that Rafale is there, but sometimes we just miss out on these small details. RB001. Now you get confused, what is this? So that is why, and you get to know that we have read everything about Rafale. So how can we miss out on this small detail? So that is why some current affair class and nuggets you need. Okay, the last fact, I think, Sarris Aircraft. So first ever indigenous light passenger aircraft, Sarris, will be inducted into IAF from 2024. So this Sarris project is led by the CSR's National Aerospace Laboratory. First attempt to design a a roll transport aircraft began in 1991. Not too much in thing because it will always be in the current affair from here to 2020-24. So it's a 5-year current affairs, right? So that's it. We are done with our October current affairs prelims classes. Now, just to remind you, this is the first month that we have covered. Why we should have started with the June's current affair, but we have decided to go with October because that is a relatively new. One more thing is there. After October, we will be covering the November month. Then we'll go back to the June, July, August, September, October, November already covered. Then December, January, February, right? So, as I mentioned you, if some of the facts are left out, don't be in tension that this sir has left out or the institute has left out some of the facts. That will be covered, and rest assured that all the relevant prelims the facts will be covered in this class in this way only, very crisp and with the images, so that the retainability is more. If you see the video twice, and then you are good to go. You don't have to revise too much. If you make your notes, it is also fine. Okay, with this we come to an end of our October current affair, not only this session, October's current affair, and I'll see you in the November's classes. Thank you.